Yes, guys, another episode of Beyond the Posing with my co-host Emma Hyman, the Posing Pro. Emma, we are coming to the middle of the year so far.
We are.
How's it been going so far on your side? Obviously, I know I see plenty of stuff regarding the members, the app, new stuff being
Yeah,
uploaded all the time.
lots going on. So we have over the past couple of weeks released our fit model tutorials,
Perfect.
which are fantastic. I'm really happy with them. So we now have that within the academy, so you can join the academy and get 4 weeks of feedback from your pose and learn from the tutorials at the same time. Or separately, you can just purchase the tutorials themselves and just learn from them in the comfort of your own home with a full breakdown of what you need to know about that fit model division. Because obviously, we know it's so new, and I just think at this stage it's so important just to have the right guidance for it.
Definitely. Well, look, I'm glad you mentioned my fit model because it is going to be one of the classes we're going to look at because we're going to do a positive recap of the Empro Classic that happened on the weekend just gone. And anybody who knows Empro knows it is promoted by Emilio Martinez. In my eyes, one of the best promoters in the game. Production's absolutely impeccable. Not just the Empro, but any show he does over in Spain. So same venue we always do it over the beautiful Alicante, and we're going to look at five of the Pro Card winners from five different divisions. We're going to cover five
Nice.
different ones. We're going to start with fit models. So if you give me one moment, we're going to bring up
Yes,
the first competitor, the first new IFBB Pro. So Emma, can you see this?
I can. Yes.
Perfect. So let me give a little breakdown on the person we are looking
Yeah.
at right here, because maybe you may have seen her from an earlier episode. So this is Charlie Phillips. Charlie lives in Australia, but she's born and bred in the UK. So I'm counting her as one of our IFBB pros in the Finmore division. So she was the first IFBB NPC, the NPC Finmore winner this year from Australia. And I
Nice.
believe this is
Yeah.
her second pro qualifier of the year so far. She went over to Empro Classic and she secured the IFE Pro Card. So congratulations, Charlie. I know you're already back in Australia, but now you get to look forward to planning your pro career, your pro debut show, all the shows in 2026 when Fit Model finally launches in the pro ranks. But Emma, we're here to talk about posing. So I know I've said this video already, but I tell you what, give me your thoughts on what we're first seeing.
Think she's pretty flawless, to be honest. I think the posing has definitely come a long way since I saw it in the previous show. It's fluid. Her footwork is moving super fluidly. There's no sticky moments where there's fumbling around with the footwork. The only thing I'd maybe just play around with is seeing if we could get a little bit more glute pop through that front pose by just adjusting the foot position. But I think it still looks very impressive. The rear pose is probably the one pose where we just could just refine it just that little bit more when we get around into the rear position. I think the foot placement is a little bit too narrow, so we could maybe go slightly wider. And I also think the elbows are a little bit too wide as well. So I'd bring the hands in a touch. Maybe just also just thinking about lengthening through the spine. Sometimes when we find an athlete or ourselves, when you're hypermobile through the entire spine and you hit this rear position and you don't just arch like the lower part of the spine, but you arch the entire back like this, it can almost shorten the waist. And we want to create a nice long waist to make that V taper more impressive. So I'd maybe potentially play around with that, just creating a little bit more length through the waist, bringing the hand position a little bit closer, and just closing those elbows in a touch as well. But this doesn't feel like there's a lot to improve on in this routine.
One of the things you always mentioned about, but did you say you felt her elbows were a bit too wide?
Slightly. So it could either be that her because what I always look for in this rear position, when you can see the wrist of an athlete. So on that right side, we can see her wrist and we can see her bangle or her bracelet, whatever's on there. That tells me that the hand is pulled too far backwards, and it's not in front of the leg enough. And that then can pull the elbow too far back as well. So it's either a case of the elbows are pointing too far behind the body, or they're a little bit too wide. So we just want to play around with hand position, potentially also just lifting up through the shoulders might just lengthen and close that gap a little bit as well.
Okay, so focus on the wrist and try to lift the shoulders. Perfect. And you mentioned about the front pose.
Yeah.
Even though you said it was pretty much flawless, about getting that glute pop, so we'll pause it here.
Yeah, so the front pose looks phenomenal. It looks fantastic, but we're always looking to see, can we just create a little bit more pop and shape, especially through this front pose. And I'm just wondering, could we just create a little bit more shelf through the right glute? And I would explore that by potentially just adjusting the right foot position. Maybe I'd try two things. I'd try and turn the right toe out a touch and see if that popped the glute. But when we do that, we want to make sure that the right quad doesn't doesn't showcase any more quad sweep. So it's really important that we keep a nice small line through the front quad whilst getting as much pop as we can on the right glute as well. The second option I would try would maybe be to potentially to spike the right heel, which means just lifting the right heel off the floor a touch to see again if that just gave a little bit more length through the leg, and then with more length that may create a little bit more shape through the glute as well.
I'm definitely getting vibes of the picture they used for Ashley Colbosser from this pose. It just looks
Yeah,
so identical. But one thing I want to bring up, and you did bring this up with a previous person we looked at maybe a couple of weeks ago, and this isn't to do with the posing, but we know that every little bit of detail will be focused on. And
yeah.
I'm just looking at the bikini color.
Yes, I knew that was what you were going to say. Yeah, so I actually, as she was posing, I was looking at the bikini, and the first thing I was thinking was, I really like the cut of the bikini. It's sitting nice and high on her over her hip bones, which I think is super important for this category because it adds that extra length to the leg and it adds that shape to the glute. And yeah, the bikini is red. So the last time we spoke about this, we said that it kind of blended in with the tan a little bit too much. And I don't know if it's because she's blonde that it does give a little bit more contrast, but I do think this red color, maybe it looks slightly different on stage, when it's under the lights, but I do think red with the tan, especially when it's got no sparkle on it, is it just too close on the color chart?
And that's a little minor thing, but I'm sure something where you get to now.
Something to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Now, with the fun part of it is to plan your 2026 pro career in the female division. So, huge congratulations, Charlie, Emma, the posing
Yeah,
ranking. What we're going for?
yeah. I am going to go with a B plus because I think there's room for improvement. I do think the flow looks really pretty. It looks really nice. But could we have like a little bit more, bit of a moment in certain places where she has that eye contact with the judges and the audience? Could we bring a little bit more je ne sais quoi? Maybe. Can we just bring a little bit more personality, a touch, or just those moments with the judges and just playing around with the front pose and the rear position as well? So easy fixes. I think she has a very, very promising career in the fit model division.
And if you want to know what you may be wondering, what does Emma mean by personality or a little bit extra? Have a look at last week's video and or the week before, but you'll see there's three girls in America, and you'll understand what you mean in regards to a little bit of detail, but a little bit of personality in between transitions. But Charlie, once again, a huge well done to yourself. I look forward to seeing what you do next year. So let's go on to the next one, and we are in men's physique, and we have our first UK IFBB Pro winner from the Empro Classic, one of two, and this is Tamas. So Tamas, huge well done again. This is your first pro qualifier of the season. You got your overall win of UK, and now you got your pro card over at the Empro Classic. He also made his debut in the pro show the day after, where he broke in the top 10. He came eighth place.
Oh,
So men's
nice.
physique. We all know that when it comes to the pro ranks, The size there is there, the details there, conditions there. So the little things that can help is down to the posing. Amateurs a
Yeah.
bit different because we can see different sizes, and some people really don't hit the nail on the head in regards to what the look they're looking for. So
Mhm.
posing, Emma, men's physique,
Mhm.
over to you.
Yeah. There's some really, really nice moments in this whole routine. In the front position, so
I'll
I'll do
pause
this
it.
front position here. I'll let him walk forwards and we'll pause him. So in this front pose, what I would play around with is firstly the foot position. I think the feet are a little bit too narrow. I personally really like to see a little bit more of an X frame with the men's physique division. I think it just gives a little bit more balance between upper and lower. So what I would just play around with is just taking that left leg just a little bit further away from the right foot, just to create, this shape. We go out, we come in, we go out, and then we finish down. So I'd play around with that just to see if it gave a little bit more balance, because from my eye, which I've just been discussing with a client, like I'm always looking at the diagonal lines. So we want to see balance from like the right shoulder down to the left knee. So that left knee is quite narrow. So it kind of makes the frame, although this is wide, it makes this lower half quite narrow. Now, obviously, we can see he's well developed through that lower half. I mean, he's bursting out of those shorts. So we can afford to take that left foot a little bit wider just to see that bottom half bringing a little bit more shape. Now, through the upper, he looks fantastic. We've got solid abs there, lovely, beautiful wide taper, shoulders the highest, widest point of the frame. The arm, the right arm isn't too tense, because sometimes I see the guys over tensing through this free arm, and he's not doing that at all. He is very much so. What I want to draw your attention to is how much the right lat pops out from the side of the ribs, and he's got a real sweep there. Now, I feel like when I'm watching him set up into this front pose, that he is focusing kind of on the right lat a little bit more than the left. And for me, it's that left side that's closest to the judges is what really gives the taper, right? So, especially because the hand is on the waist. So, I would encourage him just to activate the left lat as much as he's thinking about the right lat. So, we just get a little bit more balance there.
And if you just going back to one thing you mentioned about foot placement, guys, have a look at a video 2 weeks ago. Bassa, who is Brazilian, who won. I can't remember which show it was. I think it was. Oh no, I can't remember the show where it was. But 2 weeks ago, have a look at that video because you'll understand what Emma meant in regards to
Yes,
foot placement. You'll see the difference.
yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
let me play
The
through.
transition. So, this is nice. This is, and then he gives us a full lat spread. Now, this transition, that transition for me is kind of half finished. What he will wait for him to come back around, but I'll continue to
Okay.
talk through it. Um, what he's doing is he's kind of like not finishing off the arm position. So when he steps across to the right, the arms are like the left arm is still quite bent, the right arm isn't quite cupping underneath the pec. So if possible, Suki, if we could pause when he gets to that. And he just has he's got an opportunity here to really showcase you
So where should I pause
essentially a
it?
side here. So when he comes back around, we'll get him in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
So when he goes into that side transition, so it's just looking a little bit wide and open. I'd like to just see the left arm straight down to the side so we can see tricep,
Okay.
so we
Yep.
can see the obliques. And then in the right hand, I want him to cut underneath that right pec. We're going to give volume through the right pec, the right shoulder, rather than that position just being a little bit unfinished. So it's going to happen any second as he steps over to the right. And if we pause him here, it's
Yep.
kind of like and it's kind of in between two poses. So what I would like to see is I'd like to see the left arm completely straight. Obviously, this is dependent on how he looks when we do straighten the arm, but I would typically straighten that front arm and would showcase tricep and delt. And then with the right arm, I mean, his shoulder and his bicep looks fantastic. The abs look absolutely superb. But if he just cupped his right hand underneath the pec, a little bit more like a most muscular, we'd actually see heaps of volume here through the right pec. So it would just give a broader top line with a little bit more volume as well. So I'd play around with that, just refine that transition, just so it was a little bit more flawless. This looks nice, his rear position. Now, in his rear position, I feel like because his legs are completely locked and he's pushing his chest up, I feel like the top line could be a little bit more 3D. I feel like he could, if anything, maybe lift and lean backwards into that rear position a touch more. So we could just see a little bit more of the front delt. And then also just playing around with potentially a slight flexion in the knees just to see how that changed the arch in the lower back, to see if that then gave him a little bit more of a smaller waist, which would give more taper, and then with a little bit more of a 3D top line through the delts, potentially lifting those arms just a little bit higher as well, might just help give more of a 3D top line. That transition's beautiful. Really like that. Lifting the arms up. Yeah. So here he's really bending into the it's almost like he's very much so thinking about the right side of the body and kind of forgetting to bring volume to the left side. So, he's flexing through that right knee, which has given us quad sweep through the right quad. We've got really tight taper through the waist. Then we're getting really good sweep through the right side of the lat. And I feel like the left side is just lagging a touch. So I would encourage him just to give a little bit more balance through that left side.
Okay. Well, what is the Posing Pro rating for Tamas?
I'm going to go B plus as well, because he has really nice flow and transitions. He is executing all of his fundamentals really well. But again, it's just those smaller little corrections and details that we could apply just to make sure that, he is presenting on that pro standard. Because like we said, and we saw in our last episode or the one before, that pro standard, the guys were pretty flawless. There wasn't, the only thing we could pick apart was the one shoulder being slightly dropped than the other in the rear pose, and that was it. So this is where these transitions need refining. The front poses need to be absolutely executed to perfection.
Well, look, Tamas, I know you personally, mate, so huge well done. I believe that you were probably definitely a standout men's physique competitor of this year
Ooh,
when it comes to winning your pro card. As you know, I always said you've got a pro winning physique and you proved that the weekend. So huge congratulations to yourself, mate. Okay, let's go to always one of the busiest categories at any pro qualifier. It is, of course, the bikini division. And once again, the UK came out top. We got the pro card, and that came through Karina. So, Karina, huge congratulations to yourself. I know just maybe, I think it was a week before, or was it 2 weeks before, you won your regional and you got your overall title. So, it was literally first pro qualifier, tick the box. You got your win, you got your pro card, but also she took sixth place in the pro show the following day. So, well done to yourself,
nice.
Karina. So, bikini, we know, Emma, it is a very competitive category, amateur in the pro qualifiers, wherever you go. So, how do we make sure the posing stands out? Let's assess Karina's posing.
Yeah. Firstly, she's got a stunning physique, really well developed glutes and shoulders, which is exactly what we want to see for this division. Now, in this front pose, the one thing that I've really noticed through the front pose and the transition, the T pose to the back, is that we are extending through the ribs just a little bit too much. Sometimes when we do this, it can actually make the waist look a little bit thicker. Now, the bottom taper of Karina's waist is a tiny, but we're just pushing outwards through the front of the ribs a little. So typically when I see this, I would just say to an athlete, breathe out, shh, and close the ribs down, empty the air out of the ribs and the midsection. And sometimes this can just bring the waist, instead of the waist kind of sticking out like this, can just bring it in just a little. So that's what I would try in both of the front post and the transition. We can press play. Fluidity looks nice. I think on that T pose, when she comes back around, we can pause. But I think that what's happening is in the T pose is that she's kind of pushing her hip bones. Imagine these are the front of the hips. She's pushing them a little bit too side on for me, which again can just make that waist look a little bit thicker. We always want to think hourglass. So when we set up in the T pose, just make sure that you can see a little bit more of your left hip there. So here, it's hard to see because she crosses the arms over, which I also actually wouldn't do because she's got amazing volume through the glutes. So when she does hit that transitional pose, I definitely wouldn't want to hide that. We know that there's got to be an element of flow through the arms, but I just don't think we should hide the physique there. I'd like to see her open the arms up, let her see that nice hourglass shape, bring that left hip around to the front a little bit more. Don't focus on driving that right glute forwards because she's got really well developed glutes. It's not an area where we need to kind of try and fake it. So I'd play around with that transitional pose. I think the glute shot looks lovely. Nice natural arm movements. Now, this swing movement in the arms as she steps to the rear, I think it's really hard for it to look natural on everyone. And most of the girls that come into the studio that do this, I'd probably say about 75% of them, I take it out because it can just look super unnatural. But this is a perfect example of how it should look. And if you are doing that arm swing in front and behind movement when you step into the rear pose, just make sure that it looks as flawless and as authentic to you as possible. Don't feel like you just need to pull things from other people that don't look as natural for you. So rear pose looks really good. Glutes look fantastic. Hand positioning, happy with. I think she's executing this rear pose really well.
And we'll come back to the front.
Yeah. Into that glute shot. Glutes look fantastic. T pose. Ribs are pushing out just a little. The only thing I would say is in the walk, I feel like because she's taking quite big strides, we were almost losing the fullness of the glutes a little bit. So maybe she was rushing because I know this stage is a big stage as well. But even so, I just think like I always say to my athletes, like think about how long you've waited to get on this stage. You literally maybe get what, 20, 30 minutes up there maximum. When you walk off stage, milk every moment. Don't feel like you need to rush because when you're walking off, there is another girl walking in. So don't worry about having to take big steps and get yourself off stage. Slow it down. Keep the steps small so those glutes stay nice and round the entire time because she's got amazing glutes. So we should definitely be seeing that as she exits the stage.
Hey, so Karina, what is the pose pro rating I'm going to give her?
So I am going to go. I think I'm going to go with a B plus again. Another B
Patrick.
plus. Yeah, so I think, the posing again looks very, very good. Is there some areas where we can just refine and take it to the next level? I think so. And then just it probably would have been more of an A minus, but I think just the walk and taking the big strides, I think we can just refine our stagecraft a little bit there as well. I'd maybe like to see her connect a little bit more through the face. I actually haven't really noticed her stage presence, which maybe there just needs to be a little bit more connection, maybe a little bit more smiling, because it's not something that I've actually taken note of.
And that's the difference between stage presence and stage posing as well. What's the
Yeah,
expression's personality get across? But Karina, next time you're going to do that will be the pro rank. So congratulations to yourself. Okay, we're going to go to wellness. And here we got Dahlia. So Dahlia is the new IFBB Pro wellness competitor. Won a pro card at the Empro. I don't know which country you represent. I want to say Spain. Going off the fact that I can see Jay's comments on there, and I know we know it's Spanish. So well done, Dahlia, and of course your name as well. So wellness, we haven't really critiqued too many wellness competitors, so I think this is a nice one to do, especially given the fact that she just won her Pro card. She'll be in the pro ranks whenever she chooses to make a debut. So this is the walk on. What are we seeing, Emma?
I like her a lot. She looks so confident, and what I would say is the first thing that's actually just caught my eye is that she's very sultry. The face is very sultry. There's not heaps of smiling. I think when you're on stage, I do feel like you need to bring that essence. I need it there. She's smiling there. I need to see more teeth. Like as she walks in, I want to see more smiling, more engaging. But again, this comes as we start to work our way through those pro shows as well, because you have to step up your pose and you've got to match the level of the other girls. She looks super confident. The only thing I'd say in the rear position, I feel like she is pushing backwards a little bit too much. I just feel like there's a little bit too much separation between the glutes. So maybe not arching so much through the lower back. And sometimes when we do this, especially in the wellness division, it can flatten off the top of the glutes. So she looks like she's very, very mobile through the lower back. And I mean, you can barely even see the bottom of the waist. So this indicates to me that she's really, really arching through that lower back. So again, we just want to, I would like to see that waist just 2 inches longer. So maybe less of an arch through the lower back, so we don't have that huge separation between the butt cheeks, and we do just maintain that volume at the top of the glutes, but we still get those V-tips and we get those hamstring condition as well. I really like the transition around to the front. That's going to happen next. This is nice. Glutes stay nice and full. Little flick of the hair. Glutes look a little bit soft there, but this moment here, as she spins around on the balls of the feet, comes back to the front, she makes this look so super easy and so natural. It's not something that comes easily to a lot of athletes, so to see it done with real nice fluidity looks real good. I would like her to have finished off that final transition before she waved, maybe just bringing the arm down and then giving a little wave so we could just see the finished pose. But other than that, she looks good. She looks really good. So very,
Hey,
very impressive physique.
definitely very impressive physique. Very well done. And what's the rating we give her then?
Um, Again, I think I'm going to go for a B plus.
Four out of
I
four.
know
Okay.
this has never happened before. So I think it's just because, the posing is so good, but there's just little areas and little tweaks that need correcting. No one today everyone's been a pro standard, right? So I think everyone that we've looked at has gained a pro card. So this is reflected in the posing. So it's just small refinements that are just going to really, really enhance the stagecraft and the standard of the posing. So little moments there in the glute shot, rear pose, and then just the face, lighten up the face, connecting with this, just using the eyes. I feel like we could just have a little bit more life and sparkle in the eyes, and that's what we mean when we talk about your stage presence. Make yourself alive through the face.
I think that's something you've mentioned about every single person we spoke about today. So look forward to them bring out in the pro ranks. Let's finish off our last one, Celia, and this is the pro card winner in the figure division. I don't believe we've done a figure competitive for quite a while. So amateur division at the Empro, she has secured the pro status. This is the individual routine before going to the mandatory. So well done, Celia. We haven't done a figure one for a while, so I'm really looking forward
Yeah,
to hearing what you got to say about Celia, the
yeah.
new IFBB Pro in the figure division.
Yeah. So, firstly, absolutely phenomenal physique. When she walks and hits that power pose, it is insane. The separation through the legs, the X frame. But after that, I feel like the physique is there, but the posing doesn't match the physique. I mean, the little lift of the leg before she walks just doesn't make it look natural. This front pose here. So what we want to make sure of is when we hit this front position, we want to make sure that the heels are connected. Yeah, we don't want any space between the heels and the toes. It's very important, especially in the IFBB style of figure. We bring the heels and the toes together, contact through the top of the inside thighs. We can see separation through the quads, which is superb. The arms are a little bit too bent for me. I feel like we're losing a little bit of the shoulder cap. So I'd play around with just maybe softening through the arms and cleaning up the foot position as well.
Okay, let's go to transition.
The movement, the transitions, they're a little bit clunky. They don't feel like super refined. But luckily, she's got an insane physique. So sometimes when you have got that fantastic physique, you can get away with it.
Definitely get women in
It's
amateurs.
yeah, it's kind of like the posing is like 70% there through this rear pose as she transitions to the back. There's not a clean transition. It looks a little bit like she's just taken a step to the back rather than actually moving and fluidly piecing that routine together. What you should feel like when you are working through your routine is that the movement is continuous. It's circular. It never stops moving. There's no moments where you switch off as a performer and you step to the back. We should be constantly switched on. I always say to my athletes, you are essentially performing on stage. You wouldn't see an actor drop in and out of character. You wouldn't see a dancer drop out of their style and then just walk off stage. It just doesn't happen. It's exactly the same thing with this. You are performing. You have a craft that you're trying to perfect. So in this rear position again, feet together, lengthening through the legs, not squeezing through those glutes at all. I think I might have seen a small engagement through those glutes, which can flatten them. And also the arms are a little bit too far behind the body, so we're not actually getting that full width of the lats. So yeah, a little bit refinement there through that rear pose. We can continue on from there, Suki.
Does it look like the right shoulder's raised higher than the left as well?
Yeah, we're a little bit out of balance. You can see there's tension through the traps. We're squeezing in on one side, which is pulling that right shoulder higher. The left side's a little bit more dropped. We don't have external rotations through the left shoulder. We're definitely not lifting that chest up to the ceiling and bringing that upper body over towards the judges. So there's a lot of improvement to happen, but when that is executed and corrected, this physique is going to be unstoppable.
Definitely look absolute A-star physique, Celia. Unbelievable. I can't wait to see what you do in the pro ranks. And no doubt, if you do get a chance to watch this, hopefully you do take this on board. Emma, I don't think it's going to be a B plus again. So what rating are we giving?
No, we're going to go this time. We're going to just scale down a little, and we're going to go for. It's difficult because you've got a good physique. So I'm going to go with a C minus. There's work to do. But that power pose has given her the C minus. But fantastic physique. But yeah, some refinement to happen. But now's the time to do the work because you've got that pro card. So it's time to dial it in.
Definitely. Celia, can't wait to see what you do in the pro ranks. So we're just going to quickly finish off. Actually, want to go to the Posing Pro Instagram page.
Yeah.
And I want to bring up one video which I saw the other day. I believe was it Motivational Monday?
Oh yeah, I think you like this one.
Yeah, this one went down very well.
This is your figure mandatories, moving through your transitions here. Which is obviously this is for the toned figure division rather than the figure division that we see with the NPC stage. So this is for the athletes that are in PCA or any other federation that has this kind of style. So, but we cover all of these categories. We cover all categories and federations in the bodybuilding world. So whatever federation you are, we can cater towards all styles.
And I'm just gonna go over here as well because we started about the membership, the academy, and I just want to quickly bring this up because, like I said, the beauty of this one is the platform is on your fingertips, it's on your phone, which means you can check out whenever you want. And like I said, Emma, and right at the start, you've just updated it with the some more fit model
Yes.
information that can help fit model
Yeah.
competitors.
Yeah, so full access to full library of tutorials as well as functional tutorials as well for mobility and lat activation, flexibility tutorials are in there as well. So it's literally a one-stop shop for everything you need. So it is a must if you are working towards the stage, whether you are refining your posing. It's just a fantastic way to just really bring that full package to the stage.
Definitely. And like obviously this video shows plenty of content, a huge library of player content from different divisions. I know we spoke about fit model, but bikini,
Yes,
figure, whatever division,
all of them.
it's all there. Exactly. It's not a one-stop shop for one class, it's everything. Okay, Emma, let's wrap it up there. I think this weekend, what's going on this weekend? Try and think. We've got the Dubai Pro
Oh
over in the
yeah,
US, but over the US. Over in Dubai. In the UK, I don't think there are any major shows. In the US, a few other Olympia qualifiers. So
nice.
probably will more look at some of the US shows next week, and we'll look at. In fact, that's it. NPC Junior Nationals I believe they got pro cards up for grabs over in America. So we'll
Oh,
definitely have a look
nice.
at some of those videos next week. Apart from
Awesome.
that, guys, as always, check out the Instagram bio, click on the Poser Pro link, check it out, go on the website, you'll see all the details, all the information there. Apart from that, we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.